Tonight, I get to be on here with one of our other co founders, Ken Lewis. He is a former military bomb tech turned business strategist. And let me tell you, he is a very interesting guy, but awesome guy. He helps entrepreneurs and leaders detect and diffuse the hidden blocks holding them back. As a certified 10X business coach and Maxwell executive leader, he brings bold clarity and no fluff frameworks to help people speak confidently about the value they offer. Now, I've known Ken for the last couple of years. We've met through some various organizations. We both love to serve and volunteer in various organizations. And it seems like we're always on the tech teams doing all the fun tech stuff, right? And so that's kind of how it came about with Life Reimagined. You were helping with some of the tech stuff, but then you're also an amazing speaker, leader, teacher. And so we got you for about 15 minutes tonight. What are you going to share with us tonight, Ken?
Oh, I appreciate that. And you're right, Lisa, just real quick, like we have done so much together, and it's just weird how community involvement brings the right people together, right? So being in those communities, organizations, and then look what's building now with this. So I thank you for bringing me into your circle and then making this an endeavor that hopefully we're adding value for other people. And that is really the crux of what we're going to speak about today is past in our past Life Reimagined retreats and in some of the coaching programs we've done, there seemed to be a theme that was floating to the top. And in the, as you say, in the promise of helping people get unstuck. How do we get you to that next phase, that just that one next step in the right direction that goes to where you want to end up? A theme that kept coming up, especially among service-based professionals and the freelancers and entrepreneurs, was that fear factor around that first offer that they want to make, being able to put a dollar sign on what they're giving. I know this was huge for me. I don't know how many classes I was taking on being okay with what is my personal brand and how am I showing up. I was in a bomb tech. What business do I have? Talking to you about business strategy. And in that discover myself is when I started closing some of these gaps. A lot of the lingo I was using in the military, mission, how it was operational or tactical, or what are we doing? We're just changing it up, and now you're adding it to a business strategy plan and using the same concepts of bringing teams together regardless of size and going in that same direction. And once I made that connection, I think I gained more confidence. But I think I gained more confidence just by putting myself out there, putting dollars behind what I was doing and having the conversations and be like, oh, that landed well, cool. Oh, that didn't land well, cool. And that took me a while to move past that phase or that scaredness of actually charging for the problems I want to solve, for the service I want to provide, for the products, right? For those that have products-based business. So that's the idea about today is talking about that dreadful figure of like, how can I come up with an offer and feel confident behind that, ideally. But I think confidence builds also. So that's kind of why I did the hesitation, because maybe it's not about confidence in the beginning. It's just recognizing confidence in yourself and then making the offer. And then that validates like, okay, cool, I'm doing the right thing. So how did it show up for you? If you were to say like your first transaction, like coming up with the coaching ideas, or just, hey, this is what I'm going to do for a package, putting that together. What kind of like thoughts came to you?
Oh, it's hard. It was hard developing it. It was hard putting a price. Like, what value am I adding? How do I actually ask people for that amount? It's easy for me to go, hire a coach, and some of the coaches we work with, I mean, that I worked with, are $500 to $1,000 an hour or per session, and so I was like, okay, well, maybe I could charge 100 per session or whatever, but that was even hard. Like, am I really worth that? And you go through what the imposter syndrome and all of that. So it took a lot. But then going through one of the entrepreneurial programs I went through, it was somebody believing in me and saying, I will pay for your first package. And my first package, when I started off, was a $5,000 package. It was a 12-week program that was amazing. And then I actually retained that client and still work with them. And so that was really cool. But it really did take that first person believing in me, doing that transaction, and then moving forward.
That's amazing, because I think that's going to be a shared experience that all of us have. And although while this conversation is tailored to those that are in the business, whether it's a side gig or what have you, the idea behind all of this still stems. So for professionals and for the business alike, understanding the value you bring. There's there was some coaching calls not too long ago, and I realized that a big stepping stone was just that confidence back in their own identity, that yes, you have value, this is the impact you want. And a lot of the questions come back to bring that to the top and to reinforce just that concept of one's worth. And that bleeds into the products and the services you sell. It bleeds, I mean, even if you're just trying to get a job, how can you sell yourself? Do you have faith in your own self? And that is also a big aspect in just kind of recognizing I do add value. And maybe while my credibility isn't where it needs to be, I think once people get to know, majority of the individuals I speak to, once they get to know how credible you are in your craft on a one-on-one engagement, that it sells itself, right? As long as you're there to solve a problem and then you have something to offer. Way too many times people undervalue or they just self-eliminate. Like that's my biggest pet peeve is when you don't even give yourself an opportunity. Throw it out there, test it out, see what happens, see what the idea lands. And if it doesn't work, go back and figure out why. Were you truly solving the problem? Was the offer the right offer? Do you have enough inventory in your creative offer process to where maybe it just wasn't the right tool to fix the problem that you want to, but you have a different tool set you can go to. And that's kind of the biggest takeaway. Then when we go to our retreat, what we're going to spend on is let's give you kind of a framework where you can hit the ground running right away and implement it to take this and make a sale. And I don't want to say first sale, but the first sale with this framework, like just do it. And I think a lot of that is coming from the mindset of make that transaction. And then that's where the confidence and credibility begins more and more, because you know your craft, you know your material, you know your worth. But we get so weighed down on all the externals that kind of prevent us from growing. My to-do list that never gets checked off, or my financial targets that weren't met for that month or that week or what have you. Like those are enough to discourage somebody. But you got to go through the steps. You got to feel the discouragement so that way you can figure out what do I got to do differently so that way I meet my targets next week, not just soak in the sadness. That's not the idea. Is to, okay, what are some different ideas? Have you tried this? Have you really thought about this? Now let's do it and put it on paper and do it, and making that just realistic for somebody that has, and this could be for anybody. Maybe you don't have a product yet you want to serve. Let's talk about it and craft something right there that's for you that you can take to market that day. Maybe you already have something you've been working, but you want to expand it. You want to start bundling, or maybe you want to make a pivot from a product base to a service base, or vice versa. A lot of those ideas, but where do I start? All right, let's talk about it. Let's hash it out. Let's figure out some of the myths that get in the way. And then how do we go ahead and challenge those myths and then have you now go out and start making money? Because ultimately, why do we want to get unstuck? Because we're all trying to achieve the next greatest thing in the chapter of our life. A lot of times there's a financial target to that next thing, but let's take the steps. That way you can start meeting your personal goals that you have in life and understanding the value that you personally bring to whatever the scenario is, to the individual you're trying to solve a problem for, to the company that you're trying to solve multiple problems for, or just to the family where you want to be a better communicator. So how do we add the value of this is how I show up and how I want to be seen in whatever domain you're trying to slowly perfect, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I will say, like, what's been really cool is working with you and Andrea, and like our Wednesday. So we have a Wednesday call where we have a group of former participants from Life Reimagined that come in, and we call it the collective. And I've watched how you have used your coaching techniques, your tools, and come in there and just totally worked with some of our participants on transformation. Like some that were totally stuck, I've seen a huge shift. And one of them specifically already back to speaking and setting up workshops and doing more. And I truly believe a lot of that was the result of the coaching calls, the encouragement, and then all of us being able to go and support, that participant, which was super cool. And that's one of the things we really want to curate and at Life Reimagined is build that community that supports each other. And because being an entrepreneur, it can be very lonely and hard, right?
Super. It is. And then how do you find the right community? Like when you show up, are they kind of going in the same direction as you? Do you have, or is there alignment or not? So that too, I think I did also kind of get the warm. I'm not really one of those touchy feely guys, but I did have a warm feeling when I saw other people support and attend a workshop or whatever those conversations are, and growing together and kind of going over these hurdles. But then you also learn in what somebody else is doing, like hearing the stories of what, like, oh, I'm not alone. I have that same thing. And I guarantee you that I shouldn't say guarantee. Yeah, no, I guarantee you that a lot of problems that will be shared amongst the people in that room, you and I have experienced it to some degree as well.
Mhm.
Right? I think that was helps us now to sit here and teach because it was such a big hurdle I know in my life that how many other people are having this hurdle. And in these last phone calls, it just keeps floating to the top. And I don't think I was giving it the amount of attention that it deserved because
Mhm.
it's such a huge first step. There's there's the misconception, right? Or maybe a kind of the blurred lines of those that those people that maybe you worked with in the past or seen them at some kind of function that they always one up you on every story that you share, or they always inject themselves, or I did this, I did that. And that usually puts a bad taste in most people's mouths, or when, man, you just have a story for you're there for everything. And I think when you start thinking about that person and then what it takes for you to advertise your worth, like how do you start talking about yourself? Nobody wants to be that guy or gal that is, oh my God, again. So it's like straddling that line of not being all about you, but it's like, here's what I do and how I want to show up and how I want to serve the world. So a lot of that confidence is no, you're not being, if you don't toot your own horn, who will? Right? Who is going to advertise and market and tell the world what change you want to see? And change can be just in your family, maybe in your community, maybe globally, right? So change can be whatever your ambitions are for that business that you're wanting to do or already doing. Then let's get out there and do an offer that makes sense, is making noise all in the right avenues and getting you known for the problem that you want to serve. And the more you do that, the more confident you're going to feel about making that offer and saying, this is how I help. This is what I do. And let me rephrase that. When you're talking, I usually don't say this is how I help, like I help veterans. Da, da, da. I work with, because I help can sometimes sound like you're doing nothing but complimentary. Complimentary services do have their time and place, but you work with somebody, and then start changing that mental capacity of like, okay, if I say free, don't say free, say complimentary.
Mhm.
I provide a complimentary strategy call, because then now you can add a value to that call. If you know your call is X amount of dollars per hour, or that it's worth just the change that you allow somebody to impact and experience in a 30, 69-minute call, there's a value to that. You put a dollar on it and then you say you give it complimentary. That starts that mindset of, I don't, even if I do a pro bono coaching client, I still send them a contract with the value in there and their commitments and obligations in it. So the way they see that I'm doing this, you have a very short leash. If we break any of these rules, there's not a whole lot of forgiveness in there because I'm, donating my time and experience at that point. But it's still the same concept. There's value in that phone call. There's value in that time. Once people grasp that their ideas, their mindset, that the service they want to provide, that there's value in it,
Mhm.
start changing words from free to complimentary, or from, I guess that's the biggest reason, biggest idea there is from free to complimentary is one way to do it, or how you add a value to whatever it is you do. And it just really drives, because it is. Or if you're just talking to talk, then that's a whole other conversation. Should you be in a business? Right? Like there's a whole different conversation there.
Yeah. And like to piggyback on that, like one of the things I learned from a really high level speaker is she says, you never say, I speak for free. You would say no fee speaking, right? Or you can trade out or do different things, but you never say free. That's one word we try to stay away from.
It lowers your value.
Mhm.
And again, that's not the intent here. And that's something I discovered early in the beginning too. Like I think I've gained experience, maybe not gained, but experience more disappointment of not being able to provide, not able to lead somebody where I thought I could lead them.
Mhm.
And that always happened with the pro bono clients. I had a
Mhm.
soft spot for veterans. So I would do a lot of veteran calls and try to do it. And it's like, okay, the pro bono calls are being taken advantage of because there's no hurt. They're not committed enough to see it through. If I miss this call, then what's the point? And that's where that transformation really does happen, is when there is a commitment of time, energy, and money towards that change you want to see. And knowing that if you, there's an author out there, Alan Weiss, he's the author of like the $1 Million Consultant, and he has one explanation, which I fully adopt after I was exposed to it, was how he believes, and now I do too, that it's unethical to charge hourly. Now, granted, there's some businesses that, have to, like you go to a dealership, everything's kind of planned out by hourly wage, and, it's hard to get around that. But if you own your own mechanic shop, you don't have to do that, right? You could still bundle it. But The reason he says that it's unethical to charge hourly is you've seen probably some of those commercials, like you're not paying the plumber that can fix your job in 30 minutes. You're paying for the 30 years of experience that he was able to do for 30 minutes. And it's the same concept of you can fix a problem. Did I fix that problem? Did I deliver the value I said it was any less or any more? Like hopefully I over delivered. But if I were to charge you hourly and to get the problem I'm truly solving, because you're going to see that return of investment in your life, then I need to charge you 80 hours just to make it worth my time. Is that ethical when I can solve the problem in 4, 5, 6, but you still see the same result? You're still going to see the $10,000, $15,000 result in your day, whether I spend this 4 hours of dedicated to this problem or I just milk it out. So now that comes into ethics, right? So that's kind of like my quick understanding and how I now summarize how you add value by look at the impact that you're going to serve. How are you going to serve it? And what is it going to mean in our lives? What changes can significantly happen because of that? And then own it. Know that that's how you show up. And that's where the confidence really builds in oneself and myself of, yeah, this is what I can do. And even my lingo starts changing. Like, you asked me before what my superpower was, and it was kind of hard to talk about, but like now I'm great. Like I know that my strength comes in from the conversations of one-on-one and just brainstorming your particular issue and showing you some ideas or presenting ideas and then helping you, whichever one you pick, of how do we execute it and where do we go and how is this going to multiply whatever it is you were trying to do, whether it was a training or problem, right? And I think once you start playing around and getting out there and just making that first offer, feeling confident in whatever it is, it doesn't have to be that hard. If anybody is like me, spent way too much time researching it, ChatGPT doesn't make it easy. Like I start overanalyzing the perfect strategy. Before you know it, I'm researching 6 different people and which one do I want? And then I go to ChatGPT to try to say, merge them all together. And now I'm just twice as confused as before, 6 times as confused. It doesn't have to be that hard. And that's what we're going to talk about at our next Life Reimagined retreat in October.
Yeah. So who would you say, like, who would be your ideal person? Like if you were to, if we've, as we've kind of talked about this as our team, like who would you say this would be a great fit for? Because we're going to be spending a Friday evening together, kind of getting to know each other and launching into stuff, and then all day Saturday, right? So what would you say, like, I don't know, if you were to describe this to a friend, how would you describe it?
If you, especially a service-based business, but freelancing, if you have that entrepreneurial spirit, and whether you're already bringing in money or you want to bring money or you want to make a change from a career to the side hustle, or make that side hustle into a longer entrepreneur experience, and are not quite sure, okay, I'm hearing so much advice, so many different things from all over the place. I just need to start, because for some people, that first sale could be food on your table. It could be what keeps you in your home for that life. It could be keeping you away from that conversation where your significant other leaves you if you don't make a change, right? Mm-hmm. So how do we get you to have those conversations and really hone in onto what that next step is and provide you with the tools that way you could feel great about taking that next step and then doing? And I think I kind of alluded to this earlier, where it might not be comfortable. Like, I do want you to feel comfortable and confident in yourself. And a lot of time that's a realization of remembering that. But then the other part is just doing the ugly thing and the hard thing and being messy with it. There's so much where people don't allow themselves to be messy in the process. Realize that it sucks and it is ugly and it's never perfect the first time. And that's what's great about it, is like you truly can only go up from there. So those people that are stuck, that want to either bring in more money or less money, or maybe they're hearing so much noise from all these external factors and just need help filtering that out. All right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to help you filter that out. We're going to talk through the different steps, and we're going to not only just approach from the business side of the house, we're also going to incorporate some well-being, some mental health, some wellness practices in there, and then get you clear on not just your business goals, but also on some of those personal matters that influence how we show up in business. So that person, if you're stuck, you need help to filter out the noise, get clear, and take that next step so we can see some impact in the next 30 to 90 days. This is for you. This is who we want in that room, that are willing to do the work and they have done the work and are just kind of like, maybe they need a push, right? Or sometimes you just need to push somebody out of the way, or something, an idea, a belief, an obstacle. So maybe you don't need the push. We just need to show you what needs to be removed and how to remove that thing. And then that way you can go to where it is you want to go with your personal ambitions, right?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And that's a lot too of what we would be working with. Is there's a big piece of what we actually get to do, because we've all been through it. I still go through it, is mindset. Is where is your mindset at? And, kind of working through that. What is limiting you, or what are getting that clarity in that direction, right?
Yeah. And I think now you mentioned word clarity too. I think that's another, this might not be for you if you're exploring 50 ideas. What if you think you want to do this? That might be a different conversation. We're not gonna be able to address that in this time frame for the retreat. But maybe you have one or two, maybe a third one that you're working on. You're juggling all these different ideas in the air at once, and we just kind of need to hone in on what's the one thing we need to do right now. But if you have like a solid 1 to 2 at the most, then, or ideally, then that's who we want in the room that have problems they're experiencing of, maybe you're not making the income on this 1 to 2 ideas that you have. Maybe you are making income, but you're stuck because you don't know how to increase your portfolio or your package or your menu of services. Where are you at in that kind of realm? So I would just caveat that are stuck and need clarity. That's it. Like, we would want you to do some pre-work ahead of time and getting down to one solid idea that we can focus on during this time together. Otherwise, you're not going to get the value out of it. We're not going to be able to meet the needs or maybe the expectations you might set for us if you're coming in with so much, just so many obstacles. There's too many ideas. It would be the wrong time for that person.
Cool. Thank you for clarifying that. And yeah, so we want to invite you guys. If this sounds like a fit for you, if you've got a business, you're an entrepreneur, you're already going, you're a service-based professional and you're there, or you're kind of just trying to figure some of this stuff out, but you've got it narrowed down, this is for you. And so this is October 17th and 18th. It's here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Again, that starts Friday night around 5 or 6 p.m. It'll go till about 8 or 8:30 p.m. And then all day Saturday, we have an 8 a.m. start and go till about 5 p.m. If you want more information, go to www.f2x.co. On there, you can also see all of our bios. There's myself, Lisa Bischoff, Andrea Bolt, Ken Lewis, who you just heard from today. And you can connect with us. You can reach out to us if you've got specific questions. And you want to know this is a fit for you, please contact us. We'd be happy to have a conversation with you and and see, is this a good fit for you? Again, we want everybody to just have an amazing experience, because this truly is not just a retreat, it's an experience. And we really want to champion you all along the way. So thank you so much, Ken, for jumping on today. And I think we have another live coming up probably in a few weeks with you, and another one with Andrea, and I'll be jumping in and doing some as well. So again, www.f2x.co for more information. And we hope to see you at the Life Reimagined retreat.
Thank you, everyone.